be booking cities all around the world. They be fucking with me. I'm a Calvin Klein model. Come and get me.
It was last minute, but I am so stoked to be here. Thank you so much, guys, for coming out tonight. Yeah, and it is like the thank you season, right? Like, it's a time for gratitude, and I am feeling extra grateful because I am in my 30s. Yeah, some people know. If my 20s were a human natural disaster, my 30s have been a very successful community cleanup. It is a little bit of a double-edged sword, though, you know, because like ghosts of responsibilities past are catching up with me, but I do have at least 2 decades before I have to worry about my pussy drying up. But in thinking about who I am now, I've been thinking about who I've been, and I think about when I was a kid, and my parents, they always used to call me a tomboy. They used to be like, oh, that's Amy, she's just a tomboy, and I didn't really get it. You know, I didn't know what it was about me. I didn't know if it was that I liked to like play in the dirt, or I liked to wrestle with the boys, or like because I kept daring my girlfriends to kiss me. It wasn't until years later I realized we were all just mispronouncing bisexual. But I think my parents kind of indoctrinated me into being bi. I know, controversial. But they would sit me down every day before school, hand me my cereal, and then let me watch a full episode of Xena Warrior Princess. Lucy Lawless and Carl Urban, what's a girl to do? No, but I panicked in my early teens. I tried to replace the gay with God. Yeah, I thought I would be happy with just one man inside me for the rest of my life. Well, one man, his father, and their ghost, so. But I did it. I became super Christian. I became so Christian, I became a counselor at a Christian youth camp. And I was super qualified for that job because I had gone to the camp for years. You know, I had studied all the scripture, and I had been finger banged in the Jesus garden. It's not every Christian that can tell you their come to Jesus moment, but I can. In my late teens, I got into my nerd phase. I got glasses to prove it. But a lot of people who are as blind as I am, they got glasses as little kids. And if you had glasses as a little kid, you always notice the same thing. Everybody notices the leaves on the trees, right? Oh, the trees, they have individual leaves. But I got glasses as a sexually active 17-year-old, so the first individual things I noticed were pubes. I liked them better when they were a little blurred out. But back to the holiday season. It's one of my favorite anniversaries because 3 years ago, I got myself the best Christmas present in the whole world, an IUD. Yeah. It's the gift that keeps on giving. You know, and if you're not sure what that is, it's like a little foosball goalie inside my uterus. You know, just like a little T-shaped piece of plastic protecting the goal from the balls. As much as I love it, getting my IUD was awful. You know, it's the only time I've ever raised my voice to a medical professional. She shoved it in there and I screamed, "Fuck you!" And she said, "You're doing great." And I said, "You have to say that." And she looked me dead in the eyes and said, "No, I don't." I'd never been more comforted in my life. But as awful as that was, now I barely think about my IUD. Now I think about my IUD kind of like those lanes in a lap pool, you know, like you can swim around in here, but respect the barrier. But since we're on such sweet topics, such as the holidays, and is a time for family, I want to share with you guys a really precious childhood memory that is near and dear to my heart. And that is when my mom bought me my very first pornography. Relax, it gets worse. I was 11. I told you. And we were at CVS, you know, an unexpected location for such a salacious transaction. But we were gathering for our first family flight together, you know, shopping for those little travel size things. And like, side note, I love those things. I see so much of myself in them, you know, just like small and cute and wasteful. But we're shopping and I'm nervous because I've never been on a flight. And my mom is nervous because she has definitely been on a flight before. But she has something waiting for her, a light at the end of the tunnel, something that I do not have. And that is a Valium right before takeoff. And since she wouldn't share her drugs with me, I asked her if I could go get a book. And because she's a wonderful mother, she said, "Of course." So I wander over to the wide literary selection of CVS. You know, just paperback novels and jumbo crossword puzzles as far as the eye can see. And I'm 11, so I see this book. Looks like a manageable size. There's a beautiful woman on the front in a gorgeous princess dress, and I say, that one. And I bring it up to the counter, and my mom says, that one, and I say, that one. And she buys it for me because she's a wonderful mother. Had she chosen to take a look at the book I had selected, she would have seen that it was called Duchess by Night. Yeah, $7.99, that's the price of my innocence. Duchess by Night was Bridgerton 20 years before they were bringing costume porn into your home. But I remember reading this book on the plane, and I was getting really confused. Because they just keep talking about, like, his member. And I'm like, there are no clubs in this book. But then they start talking about her entrance, and I'm like, maybe she knows the way into the club. But then it all kind of starts coming together, and that is a big theme in this book, coming together. But, you know, I realized this is a dirty book. I should not be reading this book. But I look around me, and there is not one conscious adult in my eye line. Thank you, Valium. So I read that book. I read that book, and I became the most well-educated virgin in the game. I read that book the whole flight there, and let me tell you, the plane touched down, and I got off. Thank you so much, guys. You've been great.
Full race. Missy Elliott can't stand